I'm Bill, and this is my great friend, the true giant among us, a brilliant genius, one who's able to create beauty out of darkness. And your name?
It's Jason Still.
Okay.
What can be said about Bill Walton that hasn't already been said by the man himself?
I'm not a very good catcher. I'm much better at getting high than getting low.
To basketball fans, Walton has garnered somewhat of a cult-like legion of followers for being broadcasting's hippie uncle.
This is called a glockenspiel, okay?
I brought this from my hotel room. This is the day that we thank Michelangelo.
If you're a modern-day NBA fan, you may simply know him for being Luke Walton's dad. But hoops historians and fans of a bygone era know that behind those kooky TV gimmicks lies the story of one of the game's greatest and most fascinating talents. This is the story behind Bill Walton. The legend of Bill Walton began in the late 60s, when, in an unfortunate preview of what was to come for the young star, he battled through foot, ankle, and knee injuries to carve out a successful career at Helix High in La Mesa, California. So much so that one of John Wooden's assistants reported back to the legendary UCLA coach that Walton was the best high school player he'd ever seen. It was also as a teenager that Walton first made an impression on NBA talent. As a star at Helix High, Walton had his own key to the school gym. And without a facility to call their own, members of the then San Diego Rockets, including Hall of Famers Elvin Hayes and Calvin Murphy, would contact Walton to let them into the Helix High gym. Walton eventually committed to UCLA, where older brother and future NFLer Bruce was already enrolled. Under Wooden's guidance and led by Walton's on-court dominance, the Bruins of the early 70s were an inevitable, unstoppable force.
Ready to go, though. UCLA leading 49-47. There it is to Walton again. On that pass by Greg Lee.
In 3 years as UCLA's star big man, Walton averaged 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists, while shooting better than 65% from the field. During that time, the Bruins won 2 national championships, compiled an overall record of 86-4, and established an NCAA record 88-game winning streak that began before Walton arrived. Individually, between his junior year of high school and senior year of college, Walton went nearly 5 full years without a single loss. Adding to his legend, Walton was selected in both the 1973 and 1974 ABA drafts, but was waiting on the NBA, which came calling when the Portland Trail Blazers made him the number 1 overall pick in '74. Now, 2 things became apparent during Walton's early years in the association. 1, he possessed one of the most incredibly diverse skill sets ever bestowed upon a big man. And 2, he was going to be absolutely cursed by injuries. Walton missed 78 games over his first 2 professional seasons due to an almost unbelievably long list of injuries. In addition to dealing with chronic foot pain, Walton suffered 2 broken wrists, multiple dislocated fingers and toes, as well as a severely sprained ankle in those first 2 years alone. And that was just on the court. He also suffered leg and toe injuries, respectively, in a Jeep accident and on a water sprinkler. Walton's NBA peak, and his only 2 All-Star selections, came in the 1976-77 and 1977-78 seasons, when he averaged roughly 19 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, and a steal. The uniqueness and aesthetics of Walton's complete game were ahead of their time. Imagine a center leading the league in rebounds and blocks, as Walton did in '77, but also having the flair and vision to average 5 assists per game in '78. Till this day, the only players to average double-digit rebounds, multiple blocks, and at least 5 assists in a season are Walton, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Sam Lacey. And the feat hasn't been accomplished in more than 40 years.
Walton watching every move. Walton there with him. Walton helping out.
It was those 2 years that Blazer Mania as we know it was born, with Walton, Maurice Lucas, and Lionel Hollins, yes, that Lionel Hollins, leading Portland to its only NBA championship in 1977.
The Portland Trailblazers have won the World Championship.
Then coming back and winning a league best 58 games in 1978.
Dawkins against Bill Walton. Walton's got the doctor up over the top. Walton drew the mismatch on that side.
For his part, Walton captured Finals MVP in 77 and League MVP in 78, while earning all NBA team and all defensive first team selections in both seasons.
McGinnis with an offense and Walton rejected it.
Except, here's the catch. Walton broke his foot in the 60th game of that 77-78 season, with the defending champion Blazers off to an insane 50-10 start. After going 8-24 down the stretch without the MVP, Portland welcomed Walton back, his injured foot numbed by painkillers, for their playoff series against the Sonics.
He really is taking his time going down the floor. You can see him there. He's limping badly. He was upset. He thought he could.
After game 2 of that series, X-rays revealed a broken ankle. Walton was shut down for the postseason, Portland fell to Seattle, and would never see Walton suit up for Rip City again. Walton demanded a trade on the grounds he felt the Blazers mismanaged his injuries, sat out the entire 1978-79 season, and eventually signed with his hometown San Diego Clippers.
My home is San Diego. It's very nice to be here. It's a good situation, good opportunity for me, and I like this team a lot, and we should go a long way, I think.
But Walton would play only 102 games over 5 seasons in San Diego, as foot issues continued to sideline the star, who only a few years earlier was the best player on the planet. At one point during his Clippers tenure, between 1980 and 82, Walton went 31 months between games. It was a basketball tragedy, made sadder by the fact Walton blamed himself for the Clippers' relocation from San Diego. "I couldn't get the job done in my hometown," Walton said in a 2016 interview with ESPN. "It's a stain and stigma on my soul that is indelible. I'll never be able to wash that off, and I carry it with me forever." His Clippers tenure did provide light at the end of the tunnel, however. In his last season with the Clips, the franchise's first in LA, Walton appeared in a then career-high 67 games, setting the stage for his 1985 trade to the Celtics, who were coming off a finals loss to the Lakers. Though his Celtics tenure would last only a couple of seasons because of more foot issues, Walton's illustrious career did get somewhat of a happy ending during that first season in Boston in 85-86. The 33-year-old played in 80 regular season games and won the NBA's 6th Man of the Year award 8 years after taking home MVP honors.
On the right side, off the glass, and Bill Walton makes it a 28-point lead.
That spring, Walton also played his first playoff games in 8 years and helped the Celtics to the franchise's 16th championship. After a failed comeback in 1990, Walton finally retired from playing and jumped into the broadcast booth, where he immediately became basketball's most unique color commentator.
Oh, I'm kidding.
How about the face plant?
That hilariously entertaining broadcast career, which includes a 2001 Emmy Award, is even more inspiring when you consider that Walton overcame a lifelong speech impediment to do it.
Being so self-conscious about being red hair and big nose and freckles and goofy, nerdy-looking face and can't talk at all. I was just incredibly shy and never said a word. And then when I was 28, I learned how to speak. It has become my greatest accomplishment in life and everybody else's worst nightmare.
Sometimes stars burn so brightly, they burn out quickly. The story of Bill Walton may have only included 468 NBA games, less than 45% of eligible contests over his 13-year career. But he found a way to bridge generations between the fans who watched him at the height of his on-court powers and the children, and sometimes grandchildren, of those fans, who now listen in delight to his off-court shenanigans. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button.